do you get when you combine terrible animation, driving controls that make you feel like Ted Kennedy on a magical evening at Chappaquiddick, and the most obnoxious and mentally retarded rap and modified car culture, if you live in Florida, they're one and the same, this side of MTV? Well, you get the Nintendo Wii's Pimp My Ride, a game that chews up and swallows all of these elements, digests them in a way that feels like you've just swallowed shards of glass, or Burger King, I could go either way, and then Hershey squirts them into a steaming pile of toxic mud so huge it's like your morning coffee dump after the first 24 hours of vegetarian cooking. Don't ask me how I know this, but the size is at least 5 Keurigs. Based on an MTV show of the same name, this was released in 2006 and features all the things that appealed to the lowest common denominator that still watched MTV by the mid-2000s, because the rest of us all know that MTV stopped being kind of watchable after the mid to late 90s. For anybody born in the last 20 years, you probably don't even know what MTV is, and I promise you that you're a better person for it. But not by much, because you're watching this channel. Just like the TV show, the host of Pimp My Ride is then rap star turned actor, because that's what they all do, Exhibit. He's a magical Renaissance man who can not only drop dank rhymes, but also doesn't have to move his mouth or make facial expressions for us to hear him speak. Maybe he's a telepath like Professor X, or maybe it's just that after playing a couple hours of this, my dying eyes are preventing me from being able to recognize moving pictures anymore. The objective of the game is to drive around and earn enough cash to meet the budget of the waterhead whose vehicle you're supposed to fix up for them. This diverse before its time cast of future T-Mobile salespeople and professional door dashers have cars that are always in terrible shape, and I'm pretty sure not even road legal. To win, you're supposed to do a better job of upgrading and, quote, pimping out the car in question than the unnamed rival, which means listening to what these vapid idiots have to say about their likes and dislikes in order to gain their favor. For example, if the girl is an independent and empowered single mom working on her business degree in college, then you'll know that she wants a stripper pole and minibar that'll fit right next to her kid's baby seat. And of course, that's along with new rims and an in-dash DVD player for all the movies that she's going to watch while she's driving. Because this is licensed shovelware for the Wii, in order to get the cash, you have to do mini-games. And by mini-games, we're barely talking plural because there's only 2. The first is something called Hot Stepper, which is where, I guess you drive the car at a slow speed and then get out to walk next to it and dance or something. The instructions say ghost ride the whip because most of this game speaks in retard slang and not English. Well, in 2023 public schools, it's English. If this entire activity is a thing in real life, then we should have been nuked a long time ago. Hitting the button at the right time makes your guy dance, and messing up means he'll fall over as if his legs suddenly stop working. I was hoping that his head would get crushed like an eggshell by the back tires, but as the song goes, we can't always get what we want. Once you get a perfect score though, there's no point in doing this again because you can't actually repeat the games and get more cash from them. The second minigame is where you drive slowly by a group of people standing around, and then you hit a sequence of buttons to get money for it, and you're told to holla. I don't know what you're saying to them, but they're randomly standing around to hear you and cheer you on. As you can see, many of the people in the crowd are identical, but I'm pretty confident there's still more variety here than what there is in the crowds of most EA sports games. There were lots of times where I wouldn't hold the button long enough to start the minigame sequence and would have to back up and then try again. I would love to see this happen in real life because I think it'd be hilarious. There are a few other things you can do for cash as well, like collecting cash tokens that spell the word pimp. Where you'll hear some weird voice yell the letters out as you collect them. You'll also be able to collect coins by smashing into other cars on the road. If you're a woman driving an SUV, Mustang, Lexus... I apologize, that was getting excessive. If you're a woman, then this will come naturally. So let's say you collected all the cash. Then you get to the actual pimping section of the game, where instead of selling disease-ridden prostitutes on the street like the term would suggest, you have to drive as fast as possible to each of the body shops to do car upgrades. Why can't you just have one shop do everything? Because then the game would be an hour long, and this is a great way to pad the length. Pick an upgrade you think will get you the highest score, and then do some other mini game with the motion controls to get the upgrade cheaper. After that, you present your fully upgraded hoopty and see if it'll get chosen instead of your rival, and if so, then you win, I guess. Nothing happens except you get to have access to the next batch of people's cars to work on and do the exact same thing all over again. As a side note, you also get to keep and drive the person's car you just pimped out. Nothing in life is free, folks. Not even your crackhead car that's been upgraded by a degenerate TV show. Despite all that I just described, the worst thing about this game is actually the controls. This game controls like Stephen Hawking in a bobsled race, and half the time you hit something, it's not even intentional. The cars are very floaty, and for reasons I'll never know or understand, you control the cars with either the Wii remote or the motion controls, but you can't actually turn the motion controls off. This means that you have to keep your hands perfectly level while you're driving with the face buttons, or else you're just going to end up turning into a wall or getting stuck in a corner. Once you get to the section where you're doing the upgrades, you can pick up nitrous oxide tanks to give you a boost of speed, but it's the difference between driving at 45 miles per hour and hitting ludicrous speed in Spaceballs. You will have no control over the car when you hit this, and you will likely just, once again, hit and get stuck in a wall. Even if the controls weren't junk, you wouldn't be able to figure out where you're going because the GPS, if you want to even call it that, will only work on a few of the points of interest on the map you need to visit. The map itself won't actually let you move it either, so in order to see where else you need to go, you have to drive to what looks like an empty part of the map to see if there's anything else over there you missed. As far as everything else going on with the game, I'm sure you can tell that the graphics are pretty terrible. The opening title has what looks like a super low-res JPEG, and you can actually see the pixels that make up Exhibit's face. For those of you as old as I am, it's like when you download a picture off of Netscape or AOL back in the early 90s with your dial-up connection. The cars look only slightly better than what you'd see on a PlayStation 1 game, and fellow club member, racing enthusiast, and sometimes but rarely co-host Adam was watching me play this and pointed out that not only are there no brakes behind the rims at all, but some of these cars are floating off of the ground and have no shadows. The music is generic except for some terrible rap song with someone mumbling in the background. Maybe it's Exhibit's song, I don't know. I spent about 5 minutes on the internet trying to find out because that's the extent that I care. So to sum things up, I have nothing good to say about Pimp My Ride. It's the gaming equivalent of the beaters in this that need repairing. A husk left over from the death rattle of an awful channel that contributed to the culture rot we're seeing today. It's a game that I will resell on eBay for pennies, unless I burn it first and then consecrate the ground that I did it on. Thankfully, that's it for today's episode of Bad Game Summer, and I feel myself dying inside as I say this, but I will see you at the next one. Congratulations! You're one of an elite few to make it to the end of the video. Reward yourself by hitting the round subscribe button in the middle, and then check out the other goodies I've got, the links next to it.